First, we'll pay homage to the lineage gurus, to Venerable Mang Liao Ming, to Master Sakya Tsung, to the 16th Dharma King Karmapa, and Master Dupten Dorji. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. Homage to the main deity of the group practice this evening, Mahajundi Buddha Mother. Simu, all Dharma masters, Dharma educators, Dharma teachers, Dharma instructors, Dharma assistants, temple directors, fellow disciples here and over the webcast, and our guest of honors today, accountant to the True Buddha Foundation, Dharma Sister Teresa, from CTI TV in Taiwan, the producer for the Illuminating Your Heart TV program, Dharma Sister Rebecca Su, and Dr. Zhuang, and Dr. Zhang, a doctor for insomnia, for sleep disorder, and his mother, and entrepreneurs from Singapore, Mr. Li Han-Xuan, The names are very difficult to pronounce. This is to increase our memory. Your names are very difficult to pronounce. And then also their daughter, and also another entrepreneur from Singapore, Mr. and Mrs. Chiu Han-chun. The names are very difficult to pronounce. There is a benefit, because if you try to read it several times, then everyone would remember your names. And they put the phonetics here too. I learned this phonetics, Chinese phonetics, when I was young, but it's been a long time ago, so sometimes I couldn't pronounce it correctly. So how do you do? How are you? Thank you. This evening we practice Mahajundi Buddha Mother, as we all know, and we had the Dharma practice of Mahajundi Buddha Mother, and as we announced, we made it available that she had 18 arms, and prior to forming any mudras, first we performed this Jundi mudra, which is the complete or total Jundi mudras, the representative mudra. So Mahajundi mudra is very supreme. That's why this mudra is called the complete or representative mudra, the complete or total mudra. And one of my gurus built this Zhongci temple, or complete or total temple. And in Taipei, there is a place called, there is the spiritual center of Master Pu Fang, and I was his disciple. And as I said, I'm very familiar with his sound. As I remember, the first statement that he taught me is, In Taiwanese, that we kowtow and take refuge in the marvelous attainment with heads and faces bowed to the seven Koti. We now are praising the great Chundi, which is the Chundi, Mahachundi Buddha Mother. So this deity has her look and her mantra, Om Tsuri Tsuri Chunti Soha, and her mudra. So with mudra, mantra, and her look, those would comprise or represent her body, speech, and mind. The mudra, body, mudra, speech is the mantra, and the mind is the visualization. And all tantric Dharma practices start from the purification of the body, speech, and mind. After you purify yourself, you would be the same as the main deity, and then the main deity would be able to merge with you. And this unity is called the spiritual response. So that's why we also call this a yogic practice. Root Guru Yoga is with the look of the root guru, mudra, and mantra. Then this is the root guru yoga. And you also have the yidam yoga or yidam practice, main deity yoga. So most tantric Dharma practices start from the purification of body, speech, and mind. And body is the mudra, the mind is the visualization, and the speech is the mantra recitation. So from this, you gradually purify yourself until all karma is eradicated. So this way of practice is the basic tantric practices. And we have talked about Mahachundi a lot. And she has a sutra, Mahachundi Sutra, and you can read it, you can practice it. After you receive her empowerment, you can perform her practice. And Mahachundi has a third eye, a wisdom eye. And the so-called wisdom eye or divine eye, we also have physical eyes, divine eye, and wisdom eye. And the highest one is the Buddha eye. So there are 5 kinds of eyes, and they are boundless and infinite. You can see very far and very deep. So today, there was a disciple that asked a question. Sakyamuni Buddha and Padmasambhava, the birth of Sakyamuni Buddha and the birth of Guru Padmasambhava. When I was talking about the lineage guru last time, Guru Rinpoche was born 8 years after Sakyamuni Buddha's parinirvana and was ordained by Ananda. That's what I said. And a disciple asked that there was a great distance between the births of Sakyamuni Buddha and Guru Padmasambhava, but how could it be so close? He went to Tibet for 55 years giving Dharma teaching, and there were many centuries in between. So how long did Guru Padmasambhava live for? How many years? How many years did he live? I like to test the masters and reference. If you have read Guru Padmasambhava's biography, please raise your hand. So how many years did he live? He never entered into nirvana, so that meant he's still alive now? So when he left Tibet, leaving his consort Ishichoga, went to the Yaksa country, propagating Buddha Dharma there. How many years? Anyone knows? 800 years. Guru Padmasambhava lived for 800 years. But in some biographies, some said that he lived for 800 years, some said 1,000 years, and some said 1,200 years. So the birth of Guru Padmasambhava was very mystical. He didn't have a father nor a mother. He was born on a lotus blossom. So the biographies includes lots of legends. So I'd like to ask you, Guru Padmasambhava's birthday, and in Southeast Asia, we have the Waisak days, or in Taiwan, that's on the 8th day of the 4th month. So the birth of Sakyamuni Buddha. But the Waisak day and the 4th month, 8th day are different. So nobody really knows when Sakyamuni Buddha was born. And how many years did Sakyamuni Buddha live? Nobody really knows. And the same for Guru Padmasambhava. How long? How many years did he live? Many biographies state it differently. Now I'm talking about a different biography that's in my brain. There are many great gurus of Tantrayana. Guru Padmasambhava is first, and second is Nagarjuna. Nagarjuna is a great lineage guru of Buddhism or Buddha Dharma. And also Piwapa. And then Naropa. And then Tsongkhapa. So between these gurus, great gurus, about 500 years. So Guru Padmasambhava and Nagarjuna, 500 years in between. And Nagarjuna and Piwapa, 500 years. Piwapa and Naropa, 500 years. That's a total of 2,000 years. And Naropa and Tsongkhapa, 500 years. So a total of 2,500 years. And we often say that Sakyamuni Buddha was about 2,500 years ago. But Tsongkhapa until now, it's a few hundred years. So the numbers are not very accurate. But nobody really knows how many years Guru Padmasambhava lived. In my brain, at least he lived to be 1,000-year-old. So he lived for a very long time, because there was a history about Guru Padmasambhava. It's like this. He went to a cemetery, and at the cemetery there was a dead, pregnant young lady. And Guru Padmasambhava used his wisdom eye to see this lady and knew that she was pregnant and her child was still alive, but the lady was dead. So she opened the womb and saved the baby. And this baby was a girl. And Guru Padmasambhava raised this girl and then married her. So she became his wife. And then his wife grew up and aged and died, and yet Guru Padmasambhava was still alive. You know, this kind of legend in modern days are impossible. But this disciple asked, so how long did Guru Padmasambhava live for? It couldn't be very clear. How could Guru Padmasambhava was born 8 years after Sakyamuni Buddha? So there were a lot of stories and legends about him. And we are all very unclear about him. Even I am unclear. So the longer he lives, the unclear it gets. So at the time of Sakyamuni Buddha, the numbers are not very accurate. And at the time Sakyamuni Buddha gave Dharma teaching, nobody was allowed to take notes. So the sutras were compiled and collected after Sakyamuni Buddha entered into parinirvana. So masters, do you know? Now you all become puppets. 200 years. So after Sakyamuni Buddha entered into parinirvana, many years afterwards, there are many generations who collected and compiled Buddha's teaching. And first, second, third, and the fourth time, King Asoka, and that was about 300 to 500 years afterwards that it was being compiled, that Sakyamuni Buddha spoke or said, if there wasn't anyone like Ananda who had great memory, he was an arhat, really, it wouldn't have been written. So we are all very curious that Buddhist sutras are written that way, were written that way. So they have this doubt and curiosity whether they are accurate. But Sakyamuni Buddha also stated, if you seal or mark it according to the 3 Dharma seals or the 4 Dharma seals, if anything that can be sealed with the 3 or 4 Dharma seals, then that's called Buddha Dharma. And otherwise, they are not called Buddha Dharma. That's all we could say about it. So the skepticism or the doubt of that disciple is acceptable. So they are in doubt of the numbers. But Guru Padmasambhava lived to be 1,000 years old. So this is really hard to confirm or to be sure about this. In the future, when I question the masters, the master should give answers. I shouldn't be the only one forgetting things, so you should remember them for me. So when I forget, I would ask you, and no one is providing the answer. The wife asked her husband, "Honey, please check my palm. Do I have a line from end to end?" And the husband said, "Of course, there's no need to see." Why? Well, because my life is dead in your hand. There are many records in history that's not necessarily accurate, because sometimes there are errors, and moreover about the legends. So most of these are legends. So today we will talk about the great completion Dharma practice, and we have to talk about a lineage guru, and he is called Longqingpa. We had to talk about him. I thought I could end with Guru Padmasambhava, but I had to talk about Longqingpa and Chigme Ringpa. I have to talk about Longqingpa and Chigme Ringpa. Why do I have to talk about Chigme Ringpa? Because Chigme Ringpa is the reincarnation of King Trishong Dzogchen. So I have to talk about Chigme Ringpa. The king was reincarnated as Chigme Ringpa. And why do I have to talk about Longqingpa? Because he combined the two nyctic, the heart essences. He combined the Vima nyctic and Khandro or Dakini nyctic into one compilation. So I have to talk about these two gurus, and today I will talk about Longqingpa. He was born on the year of 1308, and he didn't live to be very long. This person is very important. Why? Why do I need to talk about him? Because Manjushri Bodhisattva has 3 emanations in Tibet. The 3 major emanations of Manjushri Bodhisattva. One is Longqingpa. Second is Sakya Pandita. The wisest, the one with most wisdom from the Sakya school, Sakya Pandita. And third is Tsongkhapa, Guru Tsongkhapa. So Tsongkhapa, Longqingpa, and Sakya Pandita. So in Tibet, they are called the 3 great emanations of Manjushri Bodhisattva. So we have to talk about Longqingpa. Longqingpa represents the Nyingmapa, Tsongkhapa represents the Gelugpa, and Sakya Pandita represents the Sakyapa. So the Sakya sect, the yellow sect, and the red sect. So Longqingpa was very smart ever since he was small. Not like Grandmaster, who was very dumb, very stupid when I was young. That fought in test that they always are first in their tests, but for myself, I'm always last. That's why I stayed in the same class twice in elementary schools. That was quite embarrassing. And because of that, I changed school from 高师二中 to 高师三中, the second to the third school. And then when you reach high school, how could you become the first in class? Although I stayed in the same class, but among the other students, I was the best. Because I was diligent in my study too. And when I joined the class where everyone stayed in the same class, all of a sudden, I had interest in my study. And before that, I didn't have any interest in study in junior high school. And before, that's why I stayed in the same class twice. And then in the technical school, that's the class where most people had really bad grade. And at that time, my grades were better. And I felt that, oh, I'm better than others. And from then on, I started to study better and better and generally interested in studying. And then later on, I got enrolled into high school. And at that time, I really liked studying. So for the 6 semesters in high school, I scored first in class. And Long Sheng-Pa was very smart ever since he was young. He studied really well, and he was well versed in many languages and in many sciences or skills. The 5 sciences, the science of language, of sound. He was well versed in many languages: Sanskrit, Tibetan, Chinese. That's well versed in the science of language. Like these days, that you are well versed in English, Spanish, Chinese, and your own local language, Cantonese. That's the science of sound or languages. And Long Sheng-Pa was well versed in many languages, and also the science of arts and crafts or skills. Like all the tools for this AV, the AV team, of course he understood. But what I meant was the skills of the time he would understand. And also Buddha Dharma, he understood, because he paid respect to over 20 gurus. He studied Mahayana Buddhism, Tantrayana Buddhism, and over 20 gurus, and he received many lineages. That's the inner science, or the science of Buddha Dharma. And then the science of cause and effect, logic, and also the science of healing. So if someone is sick, he could prescribe some medicine or herbs. So healing and medicine. So he was well versed in these 5 sciences. So he was very wise and very knowledgeable. And he had over 20 teachers or gurus. He had truly great memory and great capabilities. So when he was 27, he was very famous in Tibet. He was really talented and gifted. And when he was 27, he received the Vimaniptic from the Vimalamitra. So the Niktic from Vimalamitra, and he learned from the Guru Kuma. He learned about the Vimaniptic, which is the Niktic of the Great Completion Dharma. And then later on, he seek the Khandro-Niktic. And this Khandro-Niktic was from Guru Padmasambhava, Yeshe Chogal, and the king, Dzogchen. At that time, Guru Padmasambhava appeared to him that at a certain place there was a guru that had the lineage of the Khandro-Niktic, the Dakini-Niktic. So he went to seek him. When he was 32 years old, he received the Khandro-Niktic from the Guru Pegma. So Longqing Pa could write. He writes, and so he combined these two Niktic, Vimaniptic and Khandro-Niktic, and combined the two to become what we call the Longqing-Niktic. So this is important. The 9 stages of the Great Completion Dharma is from the Longqing-Niktic. So I have to mention him, this Guru, this lineage Guru. I thought from Guru Padmasambhava directly to Grandmaster, but I still have to mention these two lineage Gurus because Longqing Pa combined these two Niktics, and he had many writings. That's why the lineage of the Great Completion Dharma continues until now. That's because of Longqing Pa. And because Longqing Pa researched the Khandro-Niktic really well, he received the blessings from the space from Guru Padmasambhava and Ichi Choga. Like when Grandmaster was expounding on the development stages of Tantrayana, Manjushri Bodhisattva appeared in the space and empowered Grandmaster, and he appeared on the first day. Tsongkhapa, Guru Tsongkhapa appeared, and the look, which is the look of Tsongkhapa, and around him is a very fine and brilliant light. And all this light entered into me through my skin pores. And immediately I understood the development stages of Tantrayana. Most people will not understand about this because the wordings are very profound and cryptic. Only the one who truly understands Tantrayana, until they reach the 4th empowerment, they could understand this development stages of Tantrayana. No one really expound on this in the Han tribe, the Han people. Only Grandmaster Lu can expound on it. And this, my teachings on this development stages of Tantrayana has been broadcasted in the CTI TV in Taiwan by Master Lian Yue. Master Lian Yue is the producer for the Platform Sutra and this teachings on the development stages of Tantrayana. Broadcast this on the TV. And there were Tibetan lamas and Tibetan gurus who especially watch my teachings. So many Tibetan gurus and lamas watched my teachings, and they wrote letters and were grateful to me, and that they finally could understood a lot of the key points in there. So that's why Grandmaster's teachings are very precious, very invaluable. On Valentine's Day, the wife told her husband, "Dear, I love French perfume." And then on the Chinese Valentine's Day, diamonds are forever, represent love. And then on the wife's birthday, the wife also said, "Dear," and then the husband interrupted, "Is there anything you like most that's cheaper?" And the husband and the wife replied, "Yes, it's you." So the cheapest thing is your wife. So Grandmaster's teachings are easily available, and yet the teachings are very precious. So what is the credit of Longchen Pa to Tantrayana? First, he had many writings about Tantrayana, very many. And Pandita is the knowledgeable one, because he had wisdom. He wrote many books and was widely circulated. And he did not only write, he also gave Dharma teachings all over the place. He taught Great Completion Dharma. And he also combined the Vima Nyiktik and Khandro Nyiktik into Longchen Nyiktik. So he combined the essence of these two into one, and that's truly a great effort. So after Longchen Pa left the world, he continued giving blessings to all sentient beings. So although he had entered into parinirvana, he had left the world, but he still appeared in the space and still giving blessings. So look at Guru Tsongkhapa. When I was expounding on the development stages of Tantrayana, Guru Tsongkhapa appeared and blessed Grandmaster, so Grandmaster could expound on it. So there are a lot of secret Dharma practice that I talked about in the development stages of Tantrayana. And when Longchen Pa was alive, he encountered something very dangerous, that the government officials wanted to catch him and imprison him. And he ran away all by himself on a horse. How could he run away from them? Because he was chased by many people. So Guru Padmasambhava appeared to him and then told him, so, well, there is this main road. If you just continue this way, then you would be caught. So Guru Padmasambhava told me, just take the side road and go in a circle. Don't take the main road, because you're being chased. So when the chasers were about to reach him, so Long Cheng Pa formed a black cloud to enshroud the people who chased him. And then he went on a side road, and then the black cloud dispersed. When the black clouds dispersed, the soldiers continued on the main road and couldn't find Long Cheng Pa. So he took the side road and went to Bhutan. So Long Cheng Pa also lived in Bhutan. And he built a temple in Bhutan. And then later on he returned to Tibet. So there was this story about him that I knew about. Maybe you did not know it in great details, but this existed in my brain. And once he was also doing his practice in the cemeteries. And at that time, the Nyingma Pa and Hevajra and Garuda and the wrathful Guru Padmasambhava and the 8 great Herukas. So in the Nyingma's tradition, there are the great completion Dharma and the 8 great Herukas, and also Hayagriva, Garuda, and also the wrathful Padmasambhava. Include all these deities and practices. And the female yoginis, for the male practitioners, they could do the practice of the 8 Harukas, and the female is the queen of great bliss. And who is that? That's the Buddha mother or the consort of Guru Padmasambhava, and she was called Ishi Shoka. Translated into Chinese, Ishi Zhuojia. So you can practice either Ishi Choka or the Singamuka, the lion-faced Dakini. So at the beginning of your great completion practice, you can perform the practice of Ishi Choka, which is the queen of great bliss, or the Singamuka Dakini, as the main deity of the female practitioners. You choose one, Singamuka or the Queen of Great Bliss, Dakini of Great Bliss. For the male practitioners, you can choose one of the 8 Herukas. You can choose the 8 Herukas. Don't think that the Herukas are ugly. They are the Vajra protectors. Their hearts are very compassionate and very kind. Although their look are very fierce, but they're still better than people of this world today. That they have good faces, but their hearts are evil. So the Cantonese like to say this, that the Buddha's face and the heart of a snake. The look of a tiger, but the heart of a snake. But the Herukas, they look very ugly and wrathful, but the hearts are very kind. So as a tantric practitioners, if you see the appearance of the Herukas, don't avoid them because they are very compassionate. There is this joke. There is an ugly and fat woman who visited her friend. And the friend's son, 10 years old, said, this lady is very ugly. So this lady was very displeased, as was going to say something. And the friend asked the son to apologize. And the son told the lady, oh, actually, you're beautiful. And then the lady was pleased. And the friends told the son that I'm asking you to admit your mistake, but not to tell a lie. So most people only look at the appearance. Sometimes a lot of things are on the surface. Like once I said this, that I'm a little bit embarrassed to say, from the novel Ching. Yes. Zhang's mother told Zhang that the more beautiful a woman is, the more lies she's able to tell. But as a tantric practitioners, we cannot slander a woman. So it's not right to say it this way. That knowing someone is not, sometimes you know their face, but you don't know their hearts. That in painting a tiger, it is easy to paint the skin. It's not necessarily that a beautiful woman has a bad heart. And it's not necessary that an ugly woman has a kind heart. So you need to observe with your wisdom eye, with your wisdom. Only then you would know. Don't you think so? In my survey engineering college, there was an ugly girl, and I called her the big sister. And she was an employee of the survey engineering college. She was fat, but she had a kind heart. So I called her big sister. She didn't look very nice, but her heart is very kind, and she helped me a lot in school. She liked to help others, and she was well known in school. So she didn't look very nice, but she always helped others. So you cannot just tell from the service. So Long Ching-pa had great siddhi, or great attainments, because of his intelligence and talents, and also the proper direction. And he has great wisdom and could be in union with all tantric Dharma practices and enter into the 9 stages of great completion Dharma, and could continue the Dharma flow or the lineage of this great completion. And also in his life, he encountered many difficulties and slanders. And also he was about to be caught by the government. That the good thing that the sky let down the very thick cloud, the black cloud, to block the chase. So Grandmaster too had experienced lots of disasters, calamities, and miracles. That at the beginning of Grandmaster's giving the teachings on the Platform Sutra, the sixth patriarch, there were 6 footsteps above the Taiwan Lizang Temple in the sky. Who saw that? The footsteps in the sky? Nobody here? Did you record it? So I had broadcasted it. Someone took a picture, and my sister Xiaqi recorded it and broadcast this on the Illuminating Your Heart program. So six footsteps in the sky prior to my giving teachings on the Platform Sutra of the Sixth Patriarch. And this time, prior to giving the Dharma teaching of Pindolo, the long brow Arhat, in the sky, the long brow appeared. And that day, I rarely painted eagle. And I painted an eagle twice, this time. And the first time when I painted the eagle, and they saw an eagle in the sky. Someone also posted it on the web. That they took a picture of the eagle. What a coincidence. At one time, I painted the Seattle Lechang temple, and behind the temple it was a red sky, red light. Right? So behind the Seattle Lechang temple it was the red light, and that evening, behind the Seattle Lechang temple, there was all the red light. It was a red sky behind the temple. So what was that called? That's called the yogic or spiritual response. Every time I painted something, that thing appeared. That day I painted Seattle Lechang temple with a red background, and that evening the red sky, the sunset color, it was very beautiful that evening. So a lot of things are very marvelous. And I painted a beautiful lady. It wasn't a fat and ugly lady. One time I painted a beautiful lady. And really, that evening, a beautiful lady that never came here before appeared. And she looked exactly the same as my painting. And the hair I painted as golden. And the hair of that lady is also blonde. And I took the painting that evening, and they look alike. So when I painted a beautiful lady appeared. So in the future, I should paint more beautiful ladies. So there are lots of this kind of occurrences happen. They are very amazing. So Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are very responsive. They know what I'm doing, and they let me get responses. That's very interesting. Like they said, tomorrow you need to prepare 3 talismans. What foods? The first person that come to find you would need these 3 talismans, and then they would be healed. And truly, that day, the first person who met me told me that he suffered from certain kind of illnesses and he needed a certain kind of talismans. And it was just right. I could just get it directly from my pocket and give it to him right away, because the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas had told me ahead of time. What a coincidence. What a coincidence. Like Reverend Yen. Oh, she's gone. She also had this experience. She was at the Vajra Diamond Temple in New York City and listened to my Dharma teaching. And she saw something on my eyes, because I'm getting older. And she gave me a tissue to wipe my eyes. And I was going to throw away that tissue. And Yen was by my side, so she took the tissue and then she put it in my pocket, and she was going to throw it away later. And then she flew to Panama, right? She flew back to Panama, and she saw a female fellow disciple who was burned by the smoke of fires, and she had been blind for many years and she couldn't see. And Reverend Yen thought, I'm just a reverend, how could I help you? And then she thought about the tissue that Grandmaster used to wipe his eyes. So it's just right. And then she gave the tissue. Reverend Yen gave the tissue because the tissue was still in her pocket, and give it to this female disciple. And we have disciples from Panama here. They all left. But Lian Yen and Lian Xi are here. Have you heard of the story before? You came from Panama Temple, right? You know of this thing, this event, this incident, right? And then she wiped her eyes, and the second day when she opened her eyes, she could see. Isn't that incredible? That's truly amazing. But now, if you take a tissue paper and ask Grandmaster to wipe my eyes now, that may not have the same effect. It has to be in the right circumstances. Then this kind of miracle, this kind of event would happen. So don't think that the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are unmoved here. There's some sitting, some are standing. But if you have a wisdom eye or divine eye, you could see that they are moving and they're flying all over. When I write my books, you think that's easy? You have to have inspiration in your writing, and it's not so easy. It really is not easy. And I don't know what I would write tomorrow. When I don't know what I would write tomorrow, that night, in my sleep, they would descend, and then they would show me an article, and this is what you should write tomorrow. And then when I wake up the next morning, I would remember. And immediately I would take notes on the key points And then I would have my breakfast and then write my articles. Then I could continue to write. When my brain is completely empty, I have no inspiration whatsoever, then they would show me an article. That's how I write my books, my articles. That's why Grandmaster is also copying the inspiration given to me by the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. That life is like a dream. These dreams and illusions, reincarnations, rebirths, one life after life. Think about it. The King Trizong Dzogchen, and then Ching Ling reincarnated as Ching Ling, and then Grandmaster Lu, and King Trizong Dzogchen was also Manjushri Bodhisattva, and Manjushri Bodhisattva is connected to Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha Buddha, Manjushri Bodhisattva, and Yamantaka are connected. So back and forth and here and there, all interconnected, just like a dream. So what should we do in this dream and in this illusory world? We should remember that we should cultivate spiritually the best we can. That as long as you live for the day, you should be happy for that day. And you should cultivate or practice for the day. And you should be grateful on that day. We should be grateful. Why? You shouldn't have any hatred or anger in your heart. That's karma. That's why you should be grateful for everything, and you should practice everything, and everything you should be happy about it. You shouldn't be affected by afflictions or by other things. So as long as you live for the day, you should be happy, you should be grateful, and you should cultivate spiritually. Om Mani Padme Hum.